Welcome to everything you always wanted to know about Excel, but were afraid to ask. This is Lesson 1, Excel Basics. Here's what you'll need for this lesson. Microsoft Excel 2016 or Excel 365. Now you can probably get away with any version of Excel 2007 or later, but feature locations have changed a little bit and icons will look a little different. So you might have a little more trouble following along. This lesson's example files. Speakers or headphones. It's important that you have your sound on. If you can't hear me, you're not learning everything that I'm teaching. And ideally, you'd have at least 2 monitors. One for the video and one to follow along with the example files. You can get away with only 1 monitor, but you may have to pause more frequently to try out the different concepts and examples that we cover. Here's what we'll cover in this video. Basic parts of an Excel spreadsheet and important Excel terminology. How to enter and edit data in a spreadsheet. How to sort data in a spreadsheet. How to use Excel's custom sorting functionality. How to use Excel's built-in filtering tools. And finally, some basic formatting functionality. So let's jump right in. It's important that we're all on the same page throughout this course and that you know what I'm talking about when I use certain terms. That's why we start out with the different parts of a workbook. So up top, we've got the quick access toolbar. That allows you easy, quick access at all times to a couple of key tools. Notably in this screenshot, we have the save, undo, and redo buttons. But that section is customizable. If there's something you find yourself using a lot, you'll be able to change what's up there so you can access it easily. Next, we have the ribbon. Now, most people probably call this the menu bar or the tabs. Microsoft calls it the ribbon. And so because of that, that's the terminology I want everyone to be familiar with, and that's what I'm going to try and use. Underneath the ribbon, we have the formula bar. That's where you'll see whatever you've typed into a cell. We have the expand formula bar, because sometimes what's in the formula bar is going to be a little too big to fit in this little space, and that's going to allow us to just drop it down and be able to see a little better. And the name box, which we won't talk much about until later on in the course. This next one you probably know. Now, any worksheet is made up of columns and rows. Every column has a header, that's the A, B, C, D, E, etc. that you see across the top of the worksheet. And every row has a header, that's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that you see down the side of the worksheet. Where a column and a row intersect, that's called a cell. Now if you click on or otherwise select a cell, that's going to become your active cell. You can tell which one it is by looking for this dark outline around it. In the bottom right-hand corner of the cell, you'll see the fill handle. We'll talk more about that later. Over on the bottom, this is another one you're probably familiar with. On the side, you have a vertical scroll bar, and underneath, you have a horizontal scroll bar. And then below both of those, there's a zoom control for zooming in and out. Opposite that, we have our worksheet navigation tabs. Now, every file in Excel is called a workbook, and a workbook can be made up of 1 or more worksheets. In this example, we've got 3 worksheets. They're all defaulting to those generic names, Sheet 1, Sheet 2, and Sheet 3. And you can add your own worksheets by clicking the Insert Worksheet button. And finally, you've got our view settings. Now, there's 3 different views available. There's the normal view, and that's what we'll spend probably all of our time in this class in. But next to that, you've got the page layout view and the page break preview. And that's our basic parts of a workbook. Next up, let's talk about how to enter data into a workbook. Now, there's a couple different ways to enter and edit data. There's cell entry mode. Click on a cell and just start typing. There's also cell editing mode. Now, when you're using cell entry mode, if you click on a cell that already has data in it and you just start typing, it's going to overwrite what's already in the cell. You're not able to add to it or edit it directly in cell entry mode. So we use cell editing mode. You can double click on a cell and then highlight or edit wherever you need to edit within the cell. Or you can click on a cell and then hit F2 to enter cell editing mode. And the same goes for using the formula bar. If you have a cell selected, you can click up in the formula bar and edit it directly there. Now, in addition to entering and editing data, there's a couple different ways to navigate within Excel. When you're entering data, it's best to use Tab and Enter. So you type the data you want into the cell and click Tab to navigate to the next cell to the right. If you made a mistake or need to go back, click Shift-Tab to navigate to the previous cell to the left. And when you're done with a row, hit Enter, and it will return you to the first cell on the next row. When you're viewing data, it's okay to just use the mouse or arrow keys to get around. The reason we don't do this when we're entering data is because when you use the arrow keys to go between columns, then when you hit Enter, you're not going to be able to get directly to the beginning of the next line. It's just going to take you down one row in the same column. Now, once you have some data in your spreadsheet, one of the most important things you're going to want to do with your data is sort. And there are a couple of different ways to do that. First of all, if you just want to sort a range of cells alphabetically by the leftmost column, you're just going to select the data you want to sort, and on the Data tab in the Sort and Filter group, use the shortcut keys to sort alphabetically, A to Z, or reverse alphabetically, Z to A. Of course, you can also access those buttons on the Home tab in the Editing group. Now, most sorting probably doesn't fit into that very narrow use case. So in those instances, we need to use custom sorting. To use custom sort, we're going to select the data you'd like to sort. And then on the Data tab in the Sort and Filter group, click the Sort button to bring up the Sort dialog box. Once you're in the Sort dialog box, you'll be able to select just exactly what criteria you want to sort on. So our example file this week, which is concerts.xlsx, that is actually a list of every concert I've ever attended in my life. And feel free to make fun of me for any of them that you want to. But if I wanted to sort this data by any of these criteria, the event, the venue, how much the tickets cost, the date, I would select which column I want to sort by. So let's sort by date. And Excel will automatically understand what type of data is in the column. So in this case, because it's a date column, you'll see they give me the options oldest to newest or newest to oldest. I'm going to do newest to oldest and hit OK. And you can see it sorted the data. You can see the most recent concerts I attended. Now, maybe I want to sort by more than one criterion. For example, I want to sort by the name of the concert, but there's some acts that I've seen more than once. So I want to add an additional sort criterion. I do that by clicking Add Level, and I'm going to sort by date, oldest to newest, and click OK. So what this does is it shows you, for example, that I've seen Sarah Bareilles in concert 4 times in this order. And you can also watch as the price ticks up steadily over the years. Now you can sort on other things besides the values of cells using the custom sort. For example, I may want to just sort by this highlight color that I've used. So I went ahead and highlighted some of my favorite concerts that I've ever been to. And I just want the ones that I've highlighted to come up on top. So I click Sort on Cell Color, and I select the cell color, and I select that I want those on top. And you can see that all the best concerts that I've been to, those show up on top. In addition to sorting on cell color, I can also sort on the font color. So in this case, I've also gone ahead and marked some of the more disappointing concerts, and I've made them have red text. I want those on the bottom. So now I've gone ahead and put all my favorite concerts up top. Everything else in between. And then I love Bob Dylan, but unfortunately he just didn't put on a very good show. Down at the bottom. And you can do any combination of these things when you're sorting. It's also important when you have header rows in your data, it's important to make sure that you always have the My Data Has Headers option selected. Otherwise, it's going to sort your header rows as if they were data. Now, sometimes you don't want to sort your data. Sometimes you want to leave your data exactly the order it's in, but you just want to look at certain parts of it, to isolate certain parts of it in order to do different analysis or reporting or anything like that. For something like that, you're going to use filtering. Now, to use filtering, you're going to select the data you'd like to filter. On the Data tab in the Sort and Filter group, you're going to click the Filter button, and that'll cause the filter dropdowns to appear. And then you're going to use those dropdowns to configure your filters. So to operate the filters, we click on the little filter dropdown at the top of any column in your data set. Now, you can select and deselect all of the options by clicking the Select All checkbox. So generally, if you think you're just filtering out a couple of things, oh, I want most of my stuff to show, but I just don't want to show this one or these 3 or so, then you would start with everything selected and deselect a few. In this case, I think I actually just want to select a few. I just want Taylor Swift and Sarah Bareilles and Peter, Paul, and Mary to show up. So I clicked the Select All to deselect everything. And then I went down and selected the things that I want to filter to see. Now you can see it hides all of the rows that aren't relevant to my filter search. But you've still got, all of your data is still there, so you haven't deleted or removed anything. And so this is a great way to just do some quick analysis or some quick reporting to show people. Another important thing that you can see is when you have dates in your column, Excel will handily group them by year and month for you, so that you're able to do kind of a date range if you'd like. So in this case, I'd like to just look at concerts that I've been to in the last 5 years. And here they are. Now, anytime you want to remove a filter, you can always go in and just click and hit select all. But also on the data tab in the sort and filter group, you can see there's a clear button, and that just resets your filter. Don't hit the filter button because that removes the filter drop downs altogether. Now you're also able to filter on text or numbers. In this case, I'm able to filter, let's say I only want to view tickets that cost me more than $100. $100 or more. So you can use this greater than or equal to. Select. Type in 100, and it'll filter down to just the tickets that cost more than $100 each. You're also able to filter on those same criteria that we talked about for sorting. So you can filter by cell color. We can look at just my favorite concerts. Or you could filter by font color. Or you can filter by things that have no color, no cell color, or no font color applied. Excel provides a whole bunch of formatting options. Now, we don't have time to go into all of them here, but these tools fall into two categories. There's text formatting tools. That includes font, font size, font color, underline, bold, italic, all the things you would think of to format your text. And then there's cell formatting. So this is the color, the background color of a cell, the outline and outline color and outline style of a cell, any number formatting that happens in the cell, as well as text alignment. And I include text alignment in cell formatting because it applies to an entire cell rather than specific text within a cell. So let's have a look at how that all works. So a lot of your most basic formatting tools can be found right on the Home tab. You can see that here in the font group on the Home tab, you've got the same sort of controls. If you're familiar with Microsoft Word or any other major word processing program, you should be fairly familiar with most of these font controls. So you can control the font of a cell or a range of cells directly here right on the Home tab. You can just use this drop down to select a font. For example, this one. I don't know why you would choose this one, but you could. And you can set a color for your font. You're also able to apply fonts or font colors to just a portion of the text in a cell by entering cell editing mode and selecting the text that you want to apply to. The same goes for anything that we talk about that's text formatting. So you can apply fonts, colors, sizes, any of this like underline, italics, bold stuff, all of that can be applied to all the text in a cell or just some of the text in a cell. For some more font and text formatting options, you can click this little box here at the bottom of the font group. It just says, it'll pop up this little thing that says font settings. You can click that, and this will open up a format cells dialog box. That gives you some more options if you're more used to working not from the toolbars, but from the dialog boxes. You can do all of your font settings in here. This is also a place where you can get strike-through font, superscript, or subscript. In addition to the text formatting tools here in the Format Cells dialog box, you can also manage the text alignment. And the reason I consider this cell formatting and not text formatting is, again, because it applies to all of the text within a cell, not specific text. So you can change the horizontal alignment to be, this is the normal, general, but you can also select any of these. And you can change the vertical alignment. So you can see, like, when I made the text in this cell really big, all of the text on that same row is aligned to the bottom of the cell. If you wanted that to be aligned to the middle of the cell instead, you could select center or top, whatever you prefer. There's also plenty of cell formatting options right here on the ribbon. You can do most of those alignment things right from the ribbon. As you can see, you've got your vertical alignment here, some of your basic horizontal alignment options, not everything that's in the drop-down within that Format Cells dialog box. So if you want something very specific or a little out of the ordinary, you do have to go into there. You can also indent the text in a cell directly from here. And you can change the text direction of a cell directly from the ribbon. And that can come in handy sometimes if you've got like chart headers and you're trying to keep your columns really narrow. Now, I've already done it in this worksheet. I've already gone ahead and edited the number formatting for these cells, but you can set the number formatting directly from the ribbon. Here are a bunch of the most common choices, and there's some more number formatting in that same dialog box that we saw before. And we're going to talk more about number formatting in a future lesson, so I'm not going to go too deep into that right now, beyond just saying that you can make those changes either directly from the ribbon or from the number tab within the Format Cells dialog box. The next thing I want to mention about cell formatting is the cell outline. So I've gone ahead, again, with this example file and outlined all the cells in a full, full outline. There's lines on each side, borders on each side of each cell. And you can see it's a little bit different, right? This is where all the data is here, and I've outlined all of the cells. And over here, there's nothing, and so I've left it blank. These are the default grid lines. So you can do some kind of, again, the most common options are available directly from the ribbon. I'm going to just use this area over here because there's no formatting applied to it, and that'll make it a little easier to see. Now, the most common option, I think the one that I prefer, certainly, is this option right here, all borders, and that just adds all of those lines that you see on my actual table here. But if that's not your style, you can individually choose different options. If you just want the bottom of a selection, or you just want the top border of a selection. And the other one that'll come in handy sometimes is just the outside borders. I don't want any borders on the inside. I just want the outside borders. There you have it. If you need anything a little more outside the ordinary, or you're just not sure what all of these buttons and options do, again, you can always click right into the Format Cells dialog box and select Borders, the Borders tab. And you can play around with different styles of borders here. You can set the color of any border that you want to apply. That'll give you something to play around with a little bit. The final thing I want to talk about is how to clear the formatting. So sometimes you're doing what I just did, you're messing around and you've done a bunch of formatting, you look at it and you go, I don't like this at all. Well, great news, Excel has you covered. So in order to clear all the formatting from a cell or from a range of cells, select the area you want to clear the formatting from, and then still on the Home tab, but all the way over here in the Editing group, there's a little eraser icon that says Clear and a drop-down menu. Now be careful here, because Clear All is going to clear everything. It's going to clear the data and text as well as the formatting. It's like starting from a new spreadsheet. We don't want to do that in this case. What we just want to do is the second option, which is Clear Formatting. So that's going to get rid of all the formatting, including the stuff that I had done prior to starting this presentation. So you'll see like all the numbers look weird and everything. But that's a pretty good way of just getting us back to normal. So now we can start kind of from a blank slate if we want to, and add back in the things that we liked to make everything look more or less normal again. And now you can see we're kind of back to where we started. That does it for this week's lesson. Let's take a quick moment to recap what we've learned. So we studied some basic Excel terminology, the parts of a spreadsheet. We learned how to enter and edit data in a spreadsheet. We talked about sorting and filtering data in a spreadsheet. We also added some basic formatting to the spreadsheet. That's it for this lesson. Thanks for watching. Join us again for the next lesson.